Hello, everybody, and welcome to our new. I'm going to start trying to do. I'm Michelle Holling-Brooks here, the creator and the founder of Unbridled Change and the new Sacred Witness Oracle suite, which includes a beautiful guidebook, the companion book, Trauma Informed Enlightenment, and then a 56 card oracle deck, all coming together to really help support and guide you and be a soul companion for you on your journey of awakening and really befriending that healing energy that is called the sacred witness. And I absolutely love that. So if you're watching this, hello, you're probably in our VIP group. And once a month, I'm going to try to do a little live over here on Zoom where I can interact and do a card draw for our group for that month, some place to maybe focus our attention. And where two or more are gathered, we really can leverage that energy and start to have an amazing amount of ripples when we bring that together. So a few of us focusing collectively on healing energy for both ourselves and for the collective is such a beautiful way to be with that. So I am going to dive right on in. And this month, since we're kicking this off and it's the month of January when I'm doing this, we are really in that place where we are shifting, quote, psychic energy, the weather from one way of being to another. And in numerology, we're moving from that 9-year to the 1 year. And in numerology, in case you guys don't know, you can figure out the different year that we're in by taking the numbers. So 2026, you add them together and then simplify them until you get down to one digit, unless you hit a master number. And I don't really want to go into the side of that of like 11 or 22, some of those type ones. Those are a little bit different. And then you'll hold that number plus then distill it. So you get like two numbers that you're working with. So for our case, it's 2 plus 0 is 2. 2 plus 2 for 26 is 4. And then you take the 4 plus 6 is 10 and 1 plus 0. You put those together and you end up with 1. And the archetypal pattern of the 1 is in numerology is all about that internal leadership, drive, that creativity, the initiation. Think of this something that sparks the beginning, allowing us to come in there and have that spark of inspiration and energy to then have that fire within ourselves to be able to go out there and say, this is who I am. This is on my stage of life. This is how I want to be and who I want to be. And I am bringing myself as a creative, confident being to that and allowing that to shine and to foster itself. A 1 energy can collaborate. It works really beautifully in collaboration with other energies. However, you have to watch it because it can get a little tricky in there with the 1 energy. So just like there's always some positive traits and then some that we want to be aware of, in archetypal work is the shadow side of the 1 can be that we can become a little too blinders on and associated with ourselves. We can also undermine ourselves and snuff out our own fire. And we can struggle then with that confidence of standing on our own stage of life. So either end of the spectrum is a little problematic with the 1 energy, one that allows us to kind of just be like, it's only me and kind of, narcissistic, for lack of a better word, self-centered, and everything is created for me and for what my needs and wants and wishes are. Or we go all the way to the other side where we kind of abandon that individual self and we only kind of establish ourselves around somebody else's nucleus. Either end of the spectrum, a little bit of problematic. We want to find that sweet spot right in the middle. And we are shifting from a truly end complete of a cycle coming out of a 9-year. And that 9-year was the energy that allowed us to see the cycles that we have been in. And so in this past year of 2025, you might reflectively notice that you are looking at a lot of endings, a lot of ways that maybe if they weren't true physical endings, that they were a completion of a thought, of bringing yourself from one way of being, habit, and you felt like the skin that you were in just doesn't quite fit anymore. It maybe was once beautiful, it maybe really served you, but the luster, the spark, the initiation of that cycle, whatever it was, just wasn't there anymore. And you were being asked to let go, to soften your attachment to that, to close the door, so to speak, on that chapter of your life and open the door to a new chapter. So in case you were feeling that, but you couldn't quite put your finger on it, that might be what was happening in your world for that. And so as we're shifting from that closing that door, the real energy that's up for us this month is like, who and how do we want to be? As we start the spark of this new version of us, individually and collectively, what are the values that we want to bring into this new cycle? Because we're going to enter a full cycle. Think of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So a good 9+ year cycle that we're starting to embark on, of really allowing ourselves to look at first reflectively. And what I love is that the tropical zodiac and the Chinese zodiac are not on the same line. And so a lot of people are like, oh, it's the year of the horse, we're leaving the snake and going to the horse. They're two different zodiacs. And so that zodiac is going to come in with the swapping from the snake, which is a lot about releasing, transformation, letting go, allowing ourselves to shed the skin that once served us, but no longer will take us where we're looking to grow. And we're opening up to the energy of in that zodiac of the horse. But that doesn't happen until February, like 17th, in Eastern time zone where I'm at. And so we've got a little bit of time where we are allowing ourselves to mix the two energies, because the horse energy is a lot like the one. They very much mirror each other. And it is that leadership, confidence. There is a sense of community, though, that's in horse energy, that's not necessarily up front and center within one energy. You can find it, it's in there, but it's not as balanced as it is over in the horse energy. And of course, I'm partial to horses. So in that horse energy, it really allows us to say, hey, how do I want to be in community? What type of herd do I want to be? But also confidence and freedom to move, quote, blaze a trail, because the type of horse that it is, it's always mixed to, not always, but often mixed to the different elements. So in traditional Chinese 5 elements model, the different ones are also related in that zodiac to an element, just like there's the elements of earth, air, fire, and water. In a tropical zodiac, there is a similar version of that in the Chinese zodiac. And this is a fire horse, so it is about that ability to spark, to blaze, and to be in that creation cycle of that inspiration. We are beings of creation. One of the things when I'm working with clients is, where are we at with the fire within us? And we want novelty. We want to be in that dance of inspiration of what's up and happening with that. And when we don't feel that we can create, that we can have that spark within us, both show from that place of wanting to bring something new in and to create and to be in collaboration, because fire likes to join with others, and then it wants to share. It wants to share that light and share that warmth. And so all of those elements are within the horse, and all those elements are within the 1, 2. It's a little trickier, I will say, with the 1 energy to have that fire go into connection and community. And so that might be a place to really look at this month as you're working, is like, how do you communicate and connect with yourself? What are some of those things you still might need to shed as we close out that energy? We have that snake energy coming with us through this month, and we start to open up to who we are. So with that in mind, let's draw and dive on in. Okay. So the very first card that we have is in the archetypal patterns, which is the heart beam. So the little lotus is the sign for the heart beam in this deck. And this card is card number 42, and it's called the Trance of Unworthiness. And if you look, we have the owl, which is the totem for the deck, representing that ability to look inward, to see in the dark, to connect to our own inner wisdom that sometimes is hidden from us. And the owl is peering into the water, into reflection. And that is a young barn owl that it's looking at. And if you've ever seen a young owlet, especially the barn owl, they look pretty rough. They're not exactly, it's the ugly duckling kind of effect. And so this beautiful owl, the wise owl, is peering into the reflection and seeing that scared young owlet. And that is that trance of unworthiness, where we look at ourselves through the lens of, if you think of like, if you could flip this and it would be, I did use tarot as an inspiration. So there is a whole level of this deck that you can do based off of how it comes forward, whether it's upright or reverse. But that's like really high end version of this deck. So even though it's oracle and base, it's a little bit of a hybrid. But if you reverse this, then it's the young owl trying to find the wisdom within. So when we are in that trance of unworthiness, we really do get kind of stuck, submerged, and reversed. And we have a hard time seeing, because the way that we're perceiving ourselves, how do we see ourselves, the one, is through the lens of those moments of our life where we couldn't make sense of something, where we didn't understand why something was happening or where it was coming from, or why we had people treating us a certain way or not treating us away. In the trauma world, we usually focus on what happened to us. And what we are starting to really understand about trapped trauma in the body is what gets trapped trauma versus just an event that happened to us is what didn't happen. It is the way that we're not allowed to tend to ourselves to help make sense of it in a way that doesn't ding our worthiness. And when we are left without that ability to have somebody meet us, to hold us, to partner with us, we're left in usually a child's mind to make sense of a world that feels very overwhelming, doesn't match, doesn't make sense. And as a result, we write a story that says who we are is one that's unworthy. But what if we can flip it? And what if we can start to shift that perspective? And what if we can break the trance of unworthiness and recognize with the wisdom of our eyes now that we can see a bigger picture of what was happening? We can hold with compassion that while it definitely probably wasn't okay, whatever circumstances created that young owlet in the corner, that we can understand that that was not born in a vacuum, that the people around us, the beings, were probably very disconnected through their own trance, and so on and so forth. And so we see the ripples, and so we can let go and bring in that grace of forgiveness. This pattern is connected to the four guardians of the heart, and the one that it connects us to once we break loose of this is the guardian of our worth and our integrity. So just take a moment and feel into that. If you could swap a perspective and see it from a different point of view, how would that change the way you would think about yourself? What would that change about how you view your life? What opportunities might you be willing to entertain or to think about, to allow your heart to open to? Remember, this sits inside the heart being of the deck. And what would that feel like if you could start to say, what if I can let go of the trance and open to the wisdom? What would that shift for you? I'm feeling, Carl, just to bring another card in, that if we start to shift all that energy, what would it open? So this is the soul medicine of connecting. I have a connection card. There are two different cards. So this card represents the action of connecting. So you see the beautiful horse energy, which I love. That's bringing that in. And they're mutually grooming each other, which is something that horses do in the herd when they really want to increase their bond with another herd member. They could go scratch themselves on a tree. They could itch and work on it. But they go and they request that act of connecting, of mutually, quote, grooming each other, scratching each other's itches, and being in connection. Because normally after they get done with this, they kind of fall asleep, protecting each other, working with each other, standing just in heart space to heart space, because their heart chakra is even with their shoulders. So you see that they're in alignment with each other. And so when we're in that soul medicine of connecting, to really get there, though, we've got to be able to shift this perspective first. So if we can flip from those ways that we've developed and start to open to our inner wisdom, then we can connect. And we can connect with our lives, we can connect with the people in it, and we can open to new connections. And that's what I feel when a balanced one is really allowing that energy to come in, is we have that ability to say, this is who I am and how I want to show up in my life. And then we get curious instantly. Who are you? And how do you want to show up? And then how can the two of us work together through connection, through connecting, and create something neither one of us can create on our own, this true collaborative energy. So these are cards that are wanting to come forward for this month for you. And I hope that they are helpful. I'd love to hear how this kind of lands with you. So you can put that in the comments and put those in the different ways. And we can see kind of where 2026 starts to bring us, what this month has in store for you. And then we can connect next month and see where it's at. All right. So operating you light, love, and joy. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.